Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? Take the classic of literature, Frankenstein, by Mary Shelley, one of my favorite classics, as I mentioned in episode 23. Go check it out. And put the title in a search engine. You will find a wide array of covers for the well-known title. One of the ones I prefer is an illustrated version of the story with an introduction by Stephen King, no less, that shows a drawing in black and white of the creature. And it's huge and evil looking, and it looks quite scary. And it's grabbing Victor Frankenstein by the shirt. Now, the illustrations are by Bernie Wrighton, who has drawn many works such as Stephen King novels, so adapted as graphic novels, I would imagine, Batman comics, and more. So tell me this, do you judge the books you read by their cover? And if not, should you? Should you not? I guess it depends on, I think it depends on if you're a visual person or not. Perhaps it does. So another question I have is, can book covers help us choose among the many, many books competing for our attention? Because if you are like me and you love to read, I am certain that every once in a while you tell yourself, so many books to read, so little time. So you have to pick wisely. So the answer to these questions is, the question is, should we judge a book by its cover? I believe so. On many occasions, I have picked a book in a bookstore or in a library because I loved its cover design. Sometimes I knew nothing about the author, nothing about the type of book, and then I pick it up and something happens. So why don't we take a look at what makes a great cover? I found a site called designhill.com, and there was an article entitled Top 11 Book Cover Design Tips for Independent Authors. So let's take a look at some of these tips. Not all 11. I'll put the link in the information on the episode, and you can read all the other ones, but I'm going to tell you about 4 of them. So tip number 3, highlight a single element. So there should be one element on the cover that dominates the entire design. So as an example here, I have a copy of the book Dear Edward, written by Anne Napolitano. If you have not read it, please do so. I love that book. It came out in 2020. Now, the version I have here has a blue cover with the big title. The title is in big letters, Dear Edward, and in white. And then you have a flock of birds that are flying in the air. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything about this book. You'll have to find out why there are some birds there. But the highlight a single element, I would say the title comes out a lot more. And this brings me to number 2. I guess second tip, which is actually number 4 in the list, use size and scale. Now, on that very cover, the deer is actually bigger than the Edward, and the author's name at the bottom of the cover is even slightly smaller. So they really wanted to catch our attention with the title there, and at the same time, of course, they wanted us to know who the author was. So the article does say that some elements should be bigger than others to attract your attention. Tip number 5, avoid clutter. I thought that was clever. It's a bit like in your house, right? Easy to say, not easy to do. So they say avoid too many images, too many typefaces, because it creates visual noise. I thought that was a very interesting expression. And we don't need that really, more visual noise. So we want to avoid that, too many colors. They say that we should not go for more than 2 fonts. And if I look at, once again, that cover for Dear Edward, it's pretty much one font. Yeah, there's an on the top it says New York Times bestseller. That's in yellow, and it's much smaller size. And a fourth tip, which is number 8, it says keep the cover design simple. And keep it simple. This is actually great advice for life as well. Um, but keeping it simple on a book cover will help everyone understand the message easily, right? You want the reader to be able to grab that message fast. Now, I want to take a second to talk about the movie tie-ins covers that we see out there. Now, what are these? A movie tie-in is a cover that basically was changed on a book that was republished following the movie that was made of that book. So usually the novel itself perhaps has changed titles, but the story is the same, but then they change the cover to reflect some images from that movie. So one example I have here is a book that I absolutely loved called The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and that came out in 2006. And on the cover, you have an image of Viggo Mortensen, who plays the father in the film, and the young actor who plays the son. And you see them. It's the image is more in black and white. The title is in white in the lower space of the cover, and there's kind of a grainy feel to the image, so it looks like it's not like a pleasant environment. I think it really reflects the spirit of the book. I really love this book, but I just want to warn you, if you are emotional at some point in your life, don't read that, because I read it when I was pregnant and I cried and cried and cried so much. Just a little slice of life. But another cover I wanted to talk to you about, and of course at the same time the book as well, is the cover for the very recent novel that came out called A Scatter of Light. It came out just a few months ago, 2022, and it was written by Melinda Lowe. You may recognize the name of this author from Last Night at the Telegraph Club, which actually was mentioned in episode 22, reading young adult fiction. Go listen to that one too. So on the cover of A Scatter of Light, it's a work of art. I actually checked, and the art is by Feifei Huan, and I'm going to put her website in the notes. She has some beautiful art. She's an illustrator and visual storyteller based in New York City, and some of her clients are mentioned. So she not only does book covers, but all kinds of other illustrations. And there are some very vivid colors of a sky, and two young women near a truck, and it's by a coast of water. We can imagine that it's going to be in California, because A Scatter of Light talks about, actually I can read you just a little tiny summary here in the inside front cover that says, a masterful queer coming-of-age story set against the backdrop of the first major Supreme Court decisions legalizing gay marriage. So I believe it's going to be one of my last books of 2022. I'm just so attracted to that cover and the story as well. But if you think of the tips that we discussed just a bit earlier, the size and scale. So the name of the author is at the bottom, a bit smaller than the title on the top. And to me, the art is a way to keep the design cover simple. I think that it really just brings out the beauty of the story. So definitely, after all this, I really think we should judge a book by their covers. Now, you may not remember these tips the next time you go to the library or to the bookstore. It doesn't matter. I want you to maybe try this next time that you go. Just look around, maybe at the rack of new titles, and pick something that attracts you visually and see what it is. Maybe it's going to be something that you actually usually read, or maybe not. Maybe it's something going to be something totally new that you can try out. So hopefully that inspired you to do some more reading and turn some more pages. And if not, next week is going to be, I believe, the last or the before last episode of 2022. And I'll tell you a bit about some books I enjoyed in 2022 and some books that I'm excited to read in 2023. So stay tuned, take care, and please share. Talk to you soon.